I see dead people. What if a single whispered line could redefine an entire career and quietly fracture the people who made it possible? The Sixth Sense wasn't just a supernatural thriller, it was a high-risk psychological experiment filmed under pressure, secrecy, and fear of collapse. Behind the calm Philadelphia streets were panicked rewrites, bruised egos, risky decisions, and moments where the movie nearly lost its own identity. Today, you're about to hear 15 dark, strange, and rarely discussed facts about The Sixth Sense 1999 and one bonus revelation most fans still miss. Watch closely, listen carefully, and if you're ready, let's open the door. Fact 1. The script was treated like a state secret. The Sixth Sense begins in silence, and so did its script. From day one, the screenplay is locked down. Printed copies are numbered. Pages are collected after meetings. Studio executives fear leaks more than criticism. Not spoilers, but misunderstanding. What audiences don't know is how fragile the story feels on paper. The ending reframes everything. If read casually, it risks confusion. So the studio limits who reads it, how, and when. Actors receive only their scenes. Crew members don't get context. Conversations on set are vague by design. Not secrecy for hype, but survival. It isn't paranoia, it's protection. One wrong explanation could flatten the impact. One careless summary could ruin the illusion. This isn't a normal production. Not openness, but control. And that tension never leaves the set. Fact 2. Bruce Willis almost didn't take the role. Bruce Willis seems inevitable now. Back then, he's anything but. The studio wants a proven star. Willis hesitates. The role is quiet, restrained, no bravado, no explosions, no easy heroics. He's unsure the audience will follow him into stillness. What convinces him isn't money. It's structure, the character's emotional isolation, the strange gravity of unfinished conversations. Willis later describes the story as delicate. That word matters. One wrong performance choice shatters the illusion. He commits, but with caution. He underplays everything. Every line is softened, every reaction measured. It isn't charisma, it's absence. And that restraint becomes the film's invisible engine. Fact 3. Haley Joel Osment's audition stunned everyone. Casting Cole is the film's greatest risk. A child carries the entire emotional weight. Haley Joel Osment walks into the audition room calm, focused, too calm. He delivers lines without theatrical flourish. No pleading, no fear theatrics, just certainty. What stops the room isn't the dialogue, it's control, a child who understands silence. Director M. Night Shyamalan reportedly knows instantly. There's no debate, no second guessing. Osment doesn't act frightened. He acts tired, like someone who has learned the rules of something no one else can see. Not innocence, but burden. Not panic, but endurance. That choice defines the tone of the entire movie. Fact 4. The movie was nearly much louder. Early studio notes push for more overt scares. Louder music cues, faster reveals, clearer explanations. Executives worry audiences will miss the point. That silence will read as emptiness. That subtlety will be mistaken for confusion. Shyamalan resists. Hard. He argues fear lives in waiting, not impact, in what isn't shown. Several scenes are re-edited repeatedly. Sound design is stripped back. Music is held until moments of emotional fracture, not shock. What audiences don't know is how close the film comes to becoming something else entirely. Not a haunted story, but a loud one. Not tension, but noise. The restraint wins, barely. Fact 5. Philadelphia isn't just a setting, it's a device. The city looks ordinary, that's intentional. Philadelphia is chosen not for landmarks but for emotional neutrality. Brick homes, muted colors, overcast skies, nothing distracts, nothing comforts. Shyamalan frames streets like corridors, homes like holding spaces. Characters rarely cross thresholds without consequence. What viewers miss is how carefully geography reinforces isolation. Characters exist near each other, but never truly connect. Even traffic sounds are minimized. Background life is dampened. The city feels paused. Not alive, but waiting. Not bustling, but suspended. The environment quietly mirrors the emotional state of every character trapped inside it. Fact 6. Costumes are used as psychological signals. Color is never accidental. Costume choices follow strict emotional logic. Certain colors appear only at specific moments. Others vanish entirely after key scenes. What audiences don't consciously register is how wardrobe guides perception. Who feels present? Who feels distant? Who feels unresolved? These aren't Easter eggs. They're emotional cues designed to work on instinct, not intellect. Shyamalan collaborates closely with the costume department. Choices are debated scene by scene. Not style but messaging. Not fashion but language. The movie speaks in color long before it explains itself in words. Fact 7. Toni Collette's performance was built from exhaustion. Toni Collette isn't asked to be dramatic. She's asked to be depleted. Her character exists in constant emotional deficit, always trying, always failing to connect, always carrying guilt she can't name. Collette prepares by focusing on restraint. She avoids overt breakdowns. Tears are held back until they rupture naturally. What audiences don't know is how physically draining the role becomes. Scene after scene demands emotional honesty without release. There's no catharsis, only accumulation. Not despair but endurance. Not collapse but quiet erosion. Her performance grounds the supernatural in something painfully human. Fact 8. The dinner scene was the hardest to film. The anniversary dinner isn't loud, that's what makes it devastating. On set, the scene is rewritten multiple times. Every line must carry subtext without explanation. No exposition, no confrontation. Willis and Collette perform versions with more overt emotion, they're discarded. Shyamalan pushes for distance. Silence between words, eyes that don't meet. What audiences don't realize is how technical this restraint is. Timing becomes everything. Pauses are rehearsed like choreography. Not a fight, but a void. Not anger, but absence. The scene becomes the emotional spine of the film. Fact 9. The film avoids traditional scare mechanics on purpose. Jump scares are considered, designed, tested, then removed. Shyamalan believes fear should feel earned, not imposed. He favors anticipation over shock. Camera movement is slowed. Framing becomes deliberate. Music often arrives late or not at all. What audiences don't know is how radical this feels in 1999. Horror trends favor speed and spectacle. This film refuses both. Not adrenaline, but dread. Not chaos, but control. It rewrites expectations quietly and permanently. Fact 10. The ending wasn't designed to be twist first. Here's where I'll pause and say, go ahead and like and subscribe, because this moment explains why The Sixth Sense still works decades later. The ending isn't written as a trick. It's written as emotional closure. Shyamalan structures the film so the revelation recontextualizes grief, not logic. The surprise serves character, not spectacle. Test audiences react strongly, but what surprises the team is why. People aren't shocked, they're sad. What audiences didn't know is that alternate endings exist more explicit, more explanatory. They're abandoned. Not cleverness, but compassion. Not revelation, but release. That choice defines the film's legacy. Fact 11. Test screenings nearly changed everything. Early screenings spark confusion, not outrage, but uncertainty. Some viewers miss the emotional through line. Others fixate on mechanics. Studio notes suggest added clarity. Shyamalan resists again. He argues confusion fades on reflection, that the film grows stronger after it ends. It's a gamble, one that could alienate audiences. What saves the film isn't data, it's instinct. Executives trust the emotional response more than comprehension metrics. Not certainty but faith. Not safety but conviction. The final cut remains largely untouched. Set 12. The score was composed to stay out of the way. Composer James Newton Howard creates a score that barely announces itself. Themes are restrained. Repetition is minimal. Music enters late and leaves early. Howard and Shyamalan agree. Sound should support emotion, not instruct it. What audiences don't consciously hear is how much silence remains. The absence of music becomes its own tension. Not manipulation, but partnership. Not emphasis, but restraint. The score breathes with the film instead of leading it. Fact 13. Marketing nearly misrepresented the film. Trailers focus on fear, on mystery, on shock. The emotional core is largely hidden. Studios' fear-selling sadness won't draw crowds, so they sell suspense. What audiences don't know is how carefully the film avoids betraying itself despite the marketing. Viewers arrive expecting terror and leave contemplating grief. Not deception, but misdirection. Not trickery, but protection. The film survives its own promotion. Fact 14. The movie redefined its director overnight. Before The Sixth Sense, Shyamalan is largely unknown. After it, expectations explode. Success becomes a double-edged weight. Every future project is measured against this one. What audiences don't see is how isolating that instant recognition becomes. One film defines a career before it fully begins. Not freedom, but pressure. Not arrival, but responsibility. The shadow of this movie follows everything that comes after. Fact 15. The film changed how audiences watch movies. Perhaps the darkest fact of all. After The Sixth Sense, viewers watch differently. They search, they analyze, they distrust. The idea of the twist becomes cultural currency. Surprise becomes expectation. What this film unintentionally creates is a new viewing posture alert. Suspicious, analytical. Not immersion, but inspection. Not surrender, but scrutiny. Cinema changes, and it never fully goes back. Bonus fact. Here's the detail most fans never hear. Originally, the film ends earlier, on resolution, but not connection. Shyamalan adds the final quiet exchange late in development. Not to explain, but to heal. It reframes the entire journey as one of emotional completion rather than mystery solved. What audiences don't realize is how risky this addition feels. Ending on tenderness instead of revelation defies genre expectations. Not closure, but peace. Not answers, but understanding. That final moment becomes the film's true goodbye. The Sixth Sense endures not because it surprised us, but because it respected us. It trusted silence, trusted restraint, trusted the audience to feel before understanding. And maybe that's its greatest secret of all. If you enjoyed uncovering what hides beneath the surface, subscribe and share this with someone who thinks they already know this movie. Because some stories don't change when you rewatch them. They reveal what you missed.